Okay, hello friends. So one more session, one more interview, and this time one with us. This interview is going to be a real interview, like the way we have done the last stress interview. We got a lot of positive feedback, so we are continuing this session. This is not her real name. Okay, so why don't you tell us about yourself first before we start?
Okay, hi Sunan. Uh, basically, I have a total experience of around 12 years. I have worked in different positions. So, starting from testing, so I've started my career in testing. Uh, I was in Value Labs in Hyderabad for around 3 years, and then from there, in testing, I learned a lot of, I had a good exposure because it was specifically into a testing company, Value Lab. So from there, I shifted to Capgemini, and there I was working as an individual contributor again in testing. Then I changed my role as a BA for some time, and finally from Capgemini I shifted into Fidelity. So Fidelity, I've been working for a long time now. So I started there in Fidelity as an individual contributor, then worked for some time as a BA, and then finally landed up into Scrum Master role. So
So
yeah,
since
this
when
is
you
my
are
journey.
working as a Scrum Master?
So I have in Agile overall it's around 7 years, and as a Scrum Master 3 years from now.
Okay, okay, thank you. Okay, so do you know what is the difference between a burn down chart and a burn up chart?
Yeah, basically, burn down chart or burn up chart, these are seen or observed for tracking the team's progress. So it is like you take on the x-axis the number of days and on the y-axis the story points, or sometimes you even take the capacity as well. You have a threshold line going in wherein the expected, the maximum uh, effort versus the number of days. And a burn down chart basically tells us that how much work is remaining. That means the number of story points completed for this day. Say I have my total velocity as 50 story points. So in that I finish 10 story points on day one or 10 story points on second day. So from until the second day, 20 story points have been completed and 30 are the remaining. So this is what burn down chart tells. And the burn up chart is something which is usually BA or the product owner looks into, because he'll get a complete picture of the project, how is it going on, wherein he'll have the number of sprints on the x-axis and the total number effort on the y-axis. So it is like how much work is completed is shown by the burn up chart basically. So usually the scrum master looks into the burn down chart for that particular sprint. But yeah, one more
Yeah.
thing is like what I have observed in my experience is if there is a scope change somewhere, there is a, wherein a new story is suddenly added and we move in one story back into the product backlog. At that time, the burn up chart really is helpful because it gives us the complete picture of how much work is actually completed.
Okay, so you mentioned about burn up is for project managers, product owners, and burn down is for Scrum Masters, right?
Yeah.
And what if I'm going to tell you that both of your statements are wrong?
I usually this is how I used to do in my
What if I'm going to tell you that burn down chart and burn up chart is for the team members, not for you,
Yes,
not for your peers?
of course, it is for the team members as well. Yeah, Scrum
As
is
well. No, 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 no.
no. Okay, it
These
is
are
for the
for Scrum team
Scrum
only,
team. Okay,
not
for
for
the
Scrum
Scrum
Master,
team.
not for POs.
Okay,
They are as well. Team is first.
right.
Okay.
Team is first. Yes,
Okay. Let's dig out a little bit
Scrum.
more.
Yes, team is first. Yeah.
How you mentioned about x-axis, y-axis, all these things. That's good.
Because
Uh,
yeah. Okay.
so how do you analyze? So for example, let's say I'll give you a straight line. So this is x-axis, y-axis, and I'm just giving a straight line like this. Okay, so what you derived at the end of the sprint, if you just see a flat line like this.
Yeah, so there is 2 points in this. Like if it is a straight line, that means the story points are not getting progress, and but the number of days are going ahead. So like the points are just going straight with the same number of story points, or the effort has been stopped. So that means either there is an impediment and because of it it is stopped, or second thing is there might be like the team members are just not updating the tasks, and the burn down chart, the story points are not getting, the stories are not getting closed. So so these are the two things. So exactly if an impediment comes, so it's an alert that yes, something is going wrong, because the story points are just at that point and the days are continuing, so we have to resolve the impediment. Otherwise it is like the second thing is like which I face, the second thing is the one that I face, that like, my team never used to update the task, close the task, never used to close the stories progress. That was one challenge which I used to face. Of course, I have handled it in the way that we used to have the daily scrum in the end of the day instead of beginning of the day, so that I used to uh,
Okay,
catch hold of
okay,
what. Yeah.
okay,
And
okay. You
let's
can see my screen.
assume,
Yes.
So this is one, this is two. Let me erase this. So just tell me, like by looking into those two charts, what you can derive. Can you derive something out of it? Let's
Yeah.
assume this is your burn down chart.
Okay. So the
So,
first burn down chart is going out rightly. I mean, the stories are getting decreased as per the number of days.
okay.
The second one is like, it is going above the threshold or whatever, above the number of days versus the stories. It is going up and down. It is not constant. I mean, at one particular point, it is like it is stable. The progress is stable,
Mm-hmm.
and then finally, but yeah, you have come to the end. You have reached.
Okay. And what about this one? Other one?
This one, as we have talked in the beginning, the straight line.
This one, huh? This is the straight line which you told. Okay.
Yeah,
And what's
yeah.
the difference between this third and fourth? You can find any difference? So this is not a straight line. There is a gap, something over here. Okay.
Okay.
So now what is happening in this? This is your sprint is end, and now this line is touching over here. Let's say, and this is your sprint. It's end, but this line is over here only. So
Yeah.
what is showing?
It's like we have completed almost like, from there we have stopped this one, the
A
sprint.
sprint. We have stopped the sprint. Okay.
So there is no progress in number of days. Number of days are there, but then there is no progress in the effort, right?
Okay.
Yeah, the story
And
points. Yeah.
okay. Okay. Good. Let me unshare this. Okay. Okay. Let's move on to the other one. Okay. So the other question is, can the Scrum Master do the role of a PO?
Yeah. So, yes, if you ask me, as per the Scrum, it is like, Scrum Master should be dedicated to the team, and PO, and his solo responsibility is being, as a mentor or servant leader and to the team. But yes, practically speaking, I have myself done like, Scrum Master and a PO in some cases wherein I'm experienced with the product, and so there were you know, where I have acted as BA as well as Scrum Master. But I can say, you can't justify both the positions equally.
Okay. So you mean to say that we can do that as a role of a PO?
Yeah,
There is
but
no
still, I don't
challenges.
encourage
Mhm.
that process. Yeah, I
Okay.
don't encourage the process.
So what are the advantages and disadvantages? Tell me like two advantage and two disadvantage. If PO and Scrum Master is the same person, and if PO and Scrum Master are not the same person.
Okay, so I feel one advantage I- is that, like, uh, Scrum Master can understand, the responsibilities of the PO, and he can, take both of them equally. So you don't need to be back of PO, or, the requirements, product backlog, prioritization, all that can be taken easily if the Scrum Master is working as a PO as well. But then the disadvantage is, like, he can't justify both the roles, because it is like testing. You say that, why do you need testing for a development team? It's like, the developer can do unit testing, then why do you need a functional testing? Or, why do you need testers? The developer can himself do it. So it's like that. So if the Scrum Master itself can act as a PO, then why do you need a, because that he can't justify both the roles, I feel. Every role has
I'm
its
not
own
getting.
requirement.
I'm. That's what important is good justification. So what? Okay. What's the responsibility? One responsibility of a Scrum Master and PO, which is entirely different.
Okay, so for the PO, it is, he has to make the product backlog and make it as per the requirement of the stakeholders, and he has to present it to the team and clarify with the team, and the team should be clear enough further with the product backlog. So it is his duty to say what is that increment, or what is the product increment that should be developed by the team, and that should be told to the stakeholder. Now, Scrum Master is someone who will ensure that along with the team this task is done. So you are only saying and you are only implementing is something, which will contradict, I feel.
This is not a contradiction. It will good if, let's say, these two are the same people. It will be good for team. He know what to implement. He know what to clarify, and he also know as per you what task is to done. So then it will be good for team. They are that communicating only with one person, Scrum Master and product owner, right? What's harm in that?
No, I feel Scrum Master, again, he has to look into the team, if the team, and the product owner has to take the stakeholders first. I know what is their requirement, and sometimes, Scrum Master should be more towards the team. Of course, both the objectives are the same, but then the inclination of the persons is different. Scrum. So still, I feel it's not. Product owner is the one who makes the rule, and Scrum Master is the one who implements the rule.
Okay. Okay. Thanks. Okay. Let's move on. So, what is the biggest challenge that you have faced as a Scrum Master, and how you work around that challenge?
Yeah. So the biggest challenge that I faced was, like, uh, we were having a capacity, wanted a resource in the team, because the total capacity was less, because one of the team member had to go on leave suddenly due to some accident, and then we were requesting for a resource. So what we got was, like, a manager who was on bench for some days. So he was given to us as a resource, as a backup for the person. So this manager, he was on bench and he was not from the project. So but just because we needed a resource, we were given, and the manager, the head up, the higher manager said that, yes, this is the only way we can give you a resource. How you handle is your thing. So yes, as a team, we all thought that yes, we can. It's like Scrum supports self-managing and cross-functional team, and so yes, we told okay. But then for the first sprint, it went on like the velocity or the effort put in by the manager, by the person was increasing, but then the output was nothing because he was new to that particular application, and basically he was not completely proactive in implementation as well, because he was on bench for a very short period, and then he was to get a new project and go into that project. So basically, he was not interested. So this was the biggest challenge that we had, and we continued it for 2 sprints. But in the second sprint, what we realized is, yes, more than the velocity, it is the team effort that we have to do. It is the value of the product that we have to implement. So yes, we can do even without that person together as a team. The one person who went on a leave, maybe all of us together can compensate. Even I took up as a scrum master, I took up some 10% of the work that has to be done. All the team members shared uh, the working thing, and we could actually deliver without the resource, additional resource.
So I can see couple of issues, whatever you told, right? So first of all, you mentioned about resources. We never use this term, resources.
Okay.
Second is you mentioned about that you need one resource. A team member is on leave. So you
Okay.
just ask your manager, and that manager gave you one more manager, and then you just
Yeah,
accepted it.
actually, this is
What you are doing as a
time.
scrum master, if you do you know that what is the requirement? Okay, you need a .NET guy or a Java guy, some technical guy, right?
So
Why
we
you have,
needed a functional guy actually.
okay, functional guy, so then but you
Yeah.
ended up with someone who is
He
not
was
at
a
all
functional
functional.
guy. He was a functional guy.
Okay.
Very long back, he was a functional guy for the same
Hmm.
project.
But then
But
you never mention about functional guy. You are now mentioning now when I'm asking you.
no, no, he
So
was
you
a
told me
functional.
you
Yeah,
told
yeah.
me about you hired a project manager, and for a week he just work. I mean, I don't think any work. Then he's not proactive, and then after 2 weeks, you just throw him out because he's not doing anything. And now team realized that okay, we can survive without that guy, right? This is what happened.
Yeah.
So what
This
is
actually happened.
so this is a challenge, but I don't think this is come as your you resolve it. I will say that you make it more worse. So though I will give you a detailed feedback at the end of the session, but
Okay.
never ever come up with these kind of challenges.
Okay.
Okay, and yeah, so during your sprint review, you're one of the stakeholder. He just told in front of the team that this is not we are which we expected at the end of the increment. Okay, this is completely different. So what is your reaction on this? How are you going to handle or work with this kind of situation?
Okay, yeah. So basically, this should not come, because if we are working in a Scrum, PO, the team, we are acting together as a team. So we do the inspection and then we adapt. That is the empirical formula of Scrum. So everything is transparent. So at every point we check and we act. So sprint review is the last point of the sprint wherein we showcase the product to the stakeholders. So at this point, if it is coming up, then it is either there is some miscommunication that had happened from the beginning, which was not realized, or the stakeholder has suddenly realized that yes, this is not his requirement. So it can happen both the ways. So in review, yes, we accept if the stakeholder says that we ask him what exactly is his expectation, write down. Then we'll have a sprint retrospection wherein we'll understand where we have gone wrong, or what was the expectation and what went wrong, and what is the action point that needs to be done. Now go back to the sprint backlog, the product backlog, reprioritize it, discuss, understand the product backlog item again, discuss with the PO, discuss with the team, understand where, if it really went wrong, where did it go wrong, re-estimate, and then, yeah, again,
Tell me any
yeah,
two probable cause that might happen. Tell me
uh, two causes.
any causes that this might have happened. Let's say those two things which is come in your retrospective. So what are those two things which you can think of right now that
So
your
one
stakeholder is completely out of sync?
One thing is that the stakeholder was not present from the, was not in contact with the PO from the beginning in setting up his expectations correctly. So there is a miscommunication that happened between the PO and the stakeholder. That might be one thing. That is one reason I feel. The second thing is the team has understood the requirement incorrectly, and they went ahead along, with the development.
Okay. Now you have identified two problems. One is a communication gap between stakeholders and PO. Second is your team misunderstood the requirement, right?
Yeah.
So now what you will do? Now you have
So
two points, right?
yeah, so basically, what can be done is, cross-check with PO at every point of the implementation is the action point that can be drawn from this, at every point. Like, we used to have weekly calls with the PO. This, not exactly this challenge that I faced, but there was a challenge that, the team used to update the questions in the Excel for the PO, and the PO used to be very busy, and he used to tell, yes, I'll give you by the next day, but the answers used to not come. So we used to have a call, a weekly call, once in just once in 2 days or once in 3 days, for 15 minutes, a scheduled call, just to show the PO that yes, this is here, until here, this is how we have come up, this is the progress. So I think that will solve the issue, because the PO is, if the PO is in updated, he will update the stakeholders is the expectation.
So your PO is not joining your daily Scrum calls. He's not joining any of other
No,
calls.
because he sits in US, and it's the timing also, and many a times. So that was also a big challenge that PO used to never respond, even for the queries also, and sometimes even in the reviews also.
So then what action you have taken?
So that this is the action that I've taken. Is first thing is I have scheduled a call between me and the Scrum Master and the PO daily, just for 10 minutes, during his morning and during my end of the day. So, just to update that, yes, this is the thing. And once in 3 days or once in 5 days, like as per the requirement of the team, a call with the PO, a scheduled call, so that he is informed, and the team knows that yes, today we have to stay back, talk to the PO, and then go. And it used to be like a status call. Yes, I'm doing on this, and I'm doing on that, and the progress. And of course, if there is any query or anything, we used to post to him and take his time. So that worked out actually.
Okay. 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 Tell me any one scenario where you, as a Scrum Master, failed.
Yeah, no, I think I can tell this example of my manager, what I mentioned
Okay.
before. Okay.
Okay. Any other thing which you can
Yeah.
recall and how
Yeah.
you improve? That's more important. How you
Right.
worked
Right.
on that.
Right. So this was in the beginning of my role as a Scrum Master. So we were taking up one of the project which was related to daylight saving time. So this had a particular time period for testing, especially for the team to release the product. Okay, so the release was on, say, some 15th February, and the testing has to be done on 21st February, something like that, based on the saving daylight saving time. So so it was like a request that we have done, that yes, we will not commit the code for this one particular piece of code, and we will need a separate check-in again after a week. So this communication, I missed the communication that has to be sent to the stakeholders at the, the final customer point wherein the build was to be done. So because of that, yes, we were all questioned why we were assuming that it went to everyone, the required people in the group, and it's done, and we did not check in the code at that day of the release. So we were assuming that yes, everyone knows, but actually there was a question raised, and I took the responsibility on myself that yes, a particular group was not put into CC, so that communication was missed. And then I understood that yes, for a Scrum Master, the communication, the transparency, that has to be shown up to everyone, whoever is required in the group. Yes, I understood how important is it, and I never repeated again.
Okay. 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 What if, let's say, PO come in between the sprint, your 2 week ongoing sprint, and then he suddenly came and he's going to tell that okay, he wants have this urgent delivery, and then he want to park couple of ongoing user story, and he want to asking team to urgently deliver couple of other user stories. So what you are going to do in that kind of scenarios?
Uh, so basically, when we before the beginning of the sprint, in the sprint planning, so we commit the number of user stories. So the tasks are made, and these are the stories that has to be completed for that specific sprint. So when it is going on smoothly, if the PO comes in between and says, so first thing is to evaluate whether is it really required. Uh, so uh, you know. To take up the, is it really, is that implementation very critical that has to be implemented and in an emergency? If yes, then yeah, we have to reprioritize the user stories, push up, pull down some stories back to the backlog, product backlog, and take this user story. Of course, check first if the team is capable of implementing it, the technology side, the timelines, can we complete it, re-estimate it, again, do effort estimation for it, understand the requirement, and implement. So that is one thing. And the second thing is, first, is it really important? If it is not, do we have other user stories which has to go into the release? Then say that yes, stand up and say that yes, we can't take it for this sprint, maybe we can take it for another next sprint.
Okay. Okay. Okay, I think we are good for this session. And yeah, I will stop this session and give you feedback. And people who are watching this session, please let us know how you find this candidate. And if you want to share your answers also, you can put it in the comment box. And if you want to come as a guest, or if you want me to take your mock interview like this, real interview like this, please do let me know. You can write it to my email ID. And yeah, if you find some value from this session, do hit like and subscribe to our channel, Career Talk. See you in next video. Bye. Have a nice day, guys. Bye.